Good morning. It is the 18th of June, 2024. It's a nice, warm, summer-like day. I'll enjoy working under the shade here. My mind is clear. My body is well rested, so I should be able to make fairly short work of my plan B to get that compressor mounted, get the belt on, get all that hooked up, and then be able to drive it over to Midas to make my appointment. As I mentioned last night when I was done, I realized all I really need to do is use the upper bracket to get things lined up properly. There's another short little bracket that connects to the intake manifold that sits on top right behind the idler pulley. Also, that will help stabilize it and get it oriented correctly. So my plan is to loosen that bottom plate that the compressor sits on top of, just enough so I can move it so it'll shift, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect the compressor to it. Even though it'll be loose, that's okay, because that will allow me to put the other brackets that will help line it up properly, and it'll also be ready for that right angle bracket once I obtain one to just get underneath the car and install that. So should be pretty straightforward if I'm thinking through this clearly. So it shouldn't take too long. So we'll see how it goes. All right, first progress report. You can see how I've got the compressor sitting in here now, and I just have these two bolts in the head bolts for that bracket. And you can see how it's lined up just perfectly. Everything is lined up just like it's supposed to be for the belt. And there's another bracket or a bar that goes right here to that first manifold bolt. I've got that soaking in parts cleaner, carburetor parts cleaner right now. I never cleaned it before. So it also has this piece that holds the fuel lines up and out of the way so they don't hit the belt. So once that's clean, I can finish attaching all that. And even though I don't have it attached on the bottom, I'm gonna see if I get lucky and maybe get one bolt in out of the four, one or two. You know, I'd feel better if I can get one or two in there at least. But if I don't, that's okay. I think this heavy duty bracket and the bar on top, that'll be good enough to at least get the system charged up and tested and all that. So, and if something went wrong later on after I had it charged, the nice thing about these old valves here is you can close off the system. You can isolate the compressor from the rest of the system, so I could actually take it back out if I needed to later without having to have the whole system recharged. I don't think I'll need to do that though. So I'm going to continue on. All right, next progress report. Things are looking real good. I tightened those two bolts down. I've got my little crossbar connected now, the intake manifold, and right there behind the idler pulley you can see the belt is on, and it lines up very nicely like it's supposed to, right in line with the water pump. It may not be perfect, but it's definitely close enough for a test run anyway. So I did manage to get a couple of bolts in underneath too, but after I loosened the bracket, if you zoom in a little bit here, I don't know how to zoom in here, so I guess I can't show you. I thought this thing could zoom in, but anyway. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Right there, you can see a gap. That's the result of me loosening the nut that holds that bracket on, just to give it some more play. So that'll obviously be tightened back up once I get the support bracket. Brian Scheibel just sent me a picture of a listing he has that includes that bracket, and it's a lot bigger than I realized. So I definitely need that bracket. So I may be buying that from him. We'll see. So anyway, I'm going to continue connecting things up. I'm going to tighten my belt down, finish connecting these lines up, and I'll just about be done. I'll probably put that idle compensator on the carburetor too. I might as well since I'm here. Something else I meant to point out and forgot to. Now I've discovered that my fuel lines are too short. I didn't cut them long enough, the rubber hoses here. Once I install this in, which keeps it far away from the idler pulley and the belt, I had to take this bracket off because there just wasn't enough play left. And of course that leaves this a little bit close to the pulley here. It's not going to hit it, but it's something I need to take care of. So eventually I'm going to have to remove those fuel lines and make them about an inch or two longer, probably a couple of inches longer, so I can put this bracket back in place where it belongs. But for now, this will do fine. Progress report. All right, the pressure side of the system, low and high, are now sealed. Everything is tight. I tightened the roto lock fittings down here, tightened these fittings, I tightened these new valves on here as tight as I could get them. They're all flare fittings. I didn't quite tighten these as much as, say, the flare fittings, because they have like a Teflon gasket underneath or something. I don't want to over tighten those. Hopefully they don't leak. It's going to be interesting to see if there's enough room here for the technician to get his hose on there. He may have to take this cap off. In fact, I'm going to remove these caps and just leave them off so they don't lose them or throw them away or whatever. Hopefully that gives him enough work to work there, but he can also rotate those assemblies a little bit if he needs to. So anyway, I fully opened the service valves too. I think that's the normal operation for the system anyway when it's fully charged and usable, and the valves that are in here control the pressure anyway, so there's no need to close them unless I need to take the compressor off after the system's been charged. So, and I've tightened my belt, it's good and tight. Oh, it's amazing how many brackets are on this engine. I found another bracket. I didn't know I had it mixed in with all the air conditioning stuff. It goes right here. It holds these power steering lines out of the way so they're not rubbing on the valve cover and they're not rubbing against the air conditioner over here. So they actually have a purpose, and when you use them, they work very well. So glad I got that there. Wish I had the correct steering hose there. That's the aftermarket one that everyone sells. It has the correct ends, but it's a little bit long, so it doesn't quite fit right, but it works. That's all that really matters. Oh, I just noticed I got to put this bracket back on the firewall here, and then I'll put that compensator on the back of the carburetor, and we'll start her up, see what happens. All right, next progress report. I took a lunch break. When I was out and about, I decided to go ahead and buy some longer fuel line. I took care of that. I decided, now's not the time to take shortcuts. I didn't like how close it was to the belt here, so I went ahead and bought some longer fuel line. I got it in place. Now I got both brackets holding it way out of the way, so that's all good. Everything is tight now. All my fittings are tight. Everything is ready to go, I think. I replaced the solenoid there. I haven't tested it yet, so I hope it works. Put that bracket on. I think I pointed that out earlier. So as far as I know, I am ready to crank the car up and at least, make sure that there's no noise coming from the pulleys, both the idler pulley and, of course, the pulley on the air conditioning compressor. Should be quiet. I noticed that I don't have an absolutely 100% perfect alignment with the water pump pulley, but it's close enough. It's really not off much at all, and I'm hopeful that when I get my proper bracket, right angle bracket, to get underneath there and put it in place, that'll force it in alignment the rest of the way. So pretty excited and nervous as usual, after a major repair operation like this. I'm not plugging in the compressor, of course, not until it's been charged. So I'm going to crank up the engine and see what happens. All right, so far it's quiet, just like it should be. Idling fast, it's cold, the engine, but that looks beautiful. Everything is spinning like it should. No noise, so that's exciting. So I'm going to let it run for a couple minutes, warm up a little bit, and then I'm going to test that idle compensator valve, see if it actually works or not this time. But so far, it looks and sounds beautiful. Alright, so I just tested the idle compensator valve. It doesn't work. It's the same as the one that I just replaced. It's still allowing vacuum to pass through whether or not the air conditioning is running. So that was a waste of money right there. That baby does not work. So that's very disappointing. Not sure what to do about that. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it would be nice if it worked correctly. But anyway, overall though, I'm very pleased. I think the car is now in a condition, a state, that I can drive it over to Midas and make my appointment to have them evacuate or put vacuum on the system and then charge it. So I'm going to get ready to do that, clean up and drive it over to Midas. Alright, I'm going to wrap up the video for today. It was actually a very good day. It didn't take all that much time to finish things up, but it looks really good. It sounds good when I'm driving it and running it and all that. There's no extra noise. Everything is hooked up. Everything is tight. My only disappointment is that compensator valve I bought from Lincoln Land. It does not work. It's exactly the same as the old one. It doesn't hold vacuum, so I'm corresponding with them right now. I want to find out if they even test those before they send them out. Not impressed with that. However, that doesn't stop me from proceeding with the rest of the air conditioning system. I drove the car to Midas, and I have an appointment for tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday, at 3:30 in the afternoon. They're going to service it, and I should have a working air conditioner tomorrow if I've done my homework correctly and everything is done. So I'm pretty excited about that. I also had recently bought, I don't think I mentioned this before, I bought a oil pan, a used oil pan somebody had on Facebook. It came off of a 430 motor, and I just opened the package today. It's beautiful. It's perfect. No dents. It's got the original style plug on it. The guy said it doesn't leak, and I believe it. So at some point, maybe next time I have the engine out, whenever that might be, I'll put that oil pan on here. Obviously, I don't need to right now, but the one I have, it's got one of those cheap aftermarket fix-it kits on it that doesn't really hold that well. It's dripping. So anyway, I'll save that in reserve with spare parts for another time. It's not a priority at all right now. Just something that I decided not to pass up since the opportunity was there. But overall, I'm very pleased. The car's running well, and if all goes well, I'll have a working air conditioner tomorrow afternoon, and then Thursday I should be able to drive it to Baltimore to work on David Ramsey's convertible. So have a great evening. Goodbye.